This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. As the Browns' offensive coordinator search continues, questions continue to be asked. And one of those questions continuously being asked for the Cleveland Browns is this: should Kevin Stefanski continue to call the plays? The play calling seems to be such a focus for so many fans when it comes to Kevin Stefanski's responsibility. Some people think he's an excellent play caller, myself, Stump Mitchell included, going on the record talking about how good of a play caller we think he is. He has his faults as a play caller. He has bad games as a play caller, but you're going to find no play caller that doesn't have bad games or bad moments as a play caller. Just ask Andy Reid if he's ever had bad games as a play caller. I promise you he's had them. Hell, even defensive play callers. Joe Woods has had his bad days because he stinks, but also Bill Belichick has had bad days. He doesn't stink. There are other coaches. Jim Schwartz this year has had bad days as a defensive play caller. You know, I think we got to allow for that possibility to be true. But should Kevin continue to call the plays? Now let's talk about play calling first, right? Not the ideal of play calling or what somebody thinks play calling is. How does it actually work, right? Is Kevin Stefanski just walking up and down that sideline thinking of plays and selecting them? Is he going through the whole playbook on the sideline like it's Madden and picking plays? Like what is the play calling situation for the Browns and specifically for the league? Like what happens when a coach calls plays? Is there a process in line? And I think that there is. And that's kind of the reason I think Kevin should continue to call these plays. Because whether you like a play being called or not, whether you like when a play is being called or not, it doesn't happen out of thin air. Kevin doesn't think, well, it's 4th and 6. Let's run doobly-doo, right? Like, that's not how that process happens. The play calling process, like many things in the NFL, are a result of a collaborative, week-long process done by all the offensive coaches, the offensive coordinator, and the head coach. Now, it depends on what your head coach's specialty is. If you're Bill Belichick and you prefer to leave the offense up to its own designs and you trust your coordinator and you let him do his job, similar to what the Browns do with Jim Schwartz, where I'm pretty sure Kev peeks at what the defensive play sheet and the defensive program for the week looks like, but I don't think Kev is the one that's tinkering with it. That is Jim Schwartz's job. He trusts Jim Schwartz to do his job. He'll look over it to see if he thinks that there's anything that should be added to it. He'll have some input, but as far as that play sheet, how that gets used, who calls the defensive plays, that's on Jim Schwartz. He's in charge of the defense. Now, a lot of teams that have offensive-minded head coaches, so coaches who were hired because of their expertise on the offensive side of the ball, operate a little bit differently, right? So the defensive coach does what the defensive coach does. You obviously peek in, have a look at it, same way you would do special teams coach. But when you are an offensive-minded head coach, when you were hired for your offensive prowess, when the team brought you here to do some of the stuff offensively that you excelled in your last day, you're obviously going to have a hand in that offensive process. Now, there are some coaches who have no hands in either pot. John Harbaugh, who was a special teams coach, he doesn't really do a hand in the defense or a hand in the offense, but he does have a heavy hand in the special teams process. And you have some coaches that have been around so long, 20-something years, that they might have a hand in everything. Kevin is not Andy Reid old, right? Or Bill Belichick old, so he doesn't qualify or run in that process. But what the play calling process is, how this play calling happens, is that throughout the week, they create a sheet. Now, you might have seen this sheet or seen people make fun of this sheet about the Denny's menus or the plastic laminated play call sheets that coaches carry around. Almost every coach carries around a play call sheet. Some are bigger, some are smaller, some are tiny, some are huge, some are big enough to hold your lips up. Like there's a bunch of philosophies into the sizes of these play call sheets. All kind of don't matter. They hold the same information. Every play sheet holds the same information. If you ever wondered, yes, that is what could be on a quarterback's wristband. If you see a quarterback have a wristband that has multiple flaps, that is because there is a list of just straight up plays that quarterback runs. And then there are lists of like, okay, this is what we run out of this personnel, this. And then there is a play sheet there too to say, hey, it's third and short. Okay, I heard this. It's probably the play call that we got there. So on this play sheet, right, has all of the different scenarios you can end up in an NFL game. Every team doesn't format their play sheets the same way. Some teams format their play sheets differently. But this is a result of a weeks-long collaboration between all the coaches, right? Some coaches have more of a say on this top part of the run sheet, of the play sheet, right? The run plays. This is what we like to run out of these formations and this and that. That's probably going to have a lot of collaboration between the offensive line coach, tight ends coach, and running backs coach. Or if you have a run game coordinator, that's who probably oversees that whole part of it, right? And then you have your different formations, your 2x2s. Then you would obviously have a sheet to correspond to this with who's in on these 2x2s, 2x1s, 3x1s bunch, all of this stuff. This is what you would want to see. And this is what the coaches work on throughout the week. They collaborate, they work on this, they probably figure this stuff out by at least Wednesday on the game week, and then you spend Thursday, Friday installing stuff. If there's new plays on here you haven't run, you practice them that week. But this is a collaboration process, right? It's not just Kevin saying these are the plays that are going to be in here. It's not just the offensive coordinator determining this. This is a lot of tug and pull. I want this on the play sheet. Well, I don't know. I don't think that works, right? Now this play sheet right here has situations on it, right? Gold zone, logo zone, backed up, high red, this and that. And I'm pretty sure the reason you can see that side is because what my man is doing, this is Sean McVay's play sheet. What he's doing is he's calling up a play for the specific situation on there. On the flip side of this play sheet, you have 1st and 10, 1st and medium, 2nd and medium, 2nd and short, 3rd and short, 3rd and 10, 3rd and plus 10. All of these different situations you would be as a play caller. And you spend the whole week figuring out what goes on that sheet. That's what the offensive coordinator, the quarterback's coach, the head coach, they all collaborate on that sheet. And if your head coach is a offensive-minded head coach, was hired because of what he can do on the offensive side of the ball, he probably has a heavy hand in this collaboration process. My argument for why Kevin Stefanski should continue to call these plays, if he intends on still being the lead creative force on this offense, if he is like, hey, I'm about to go get Brian Johnson and let Brian Johnson handle the offense and I'm going to be hands off. If that's the case, Brian should call the plays. If that's the case with Kellen Moore, you're like, hey, Kellen, I just want you to run the offense. I'm going to take a step away and you're going to run the whole thing, the whole show from here. And you can call the plays. That's fine. The reason I think Kevin should call the plays is because Kevin is still going to be in charge of this offense. Whether it's Kellen Mond, whether it's Brian Johnson, whether it's whoever you want to be the offensive coordinator. Kevin's going to call the plays because Kevin isn't replacing himself. He is replacing people to assist him in expanding the offense's comfort zone. And if that's the case, that means that Kev's still the lead creative force. He's just looking for new people to give him new, fresh ideas. And if that is the case, then what play gets called when is a responsibility he should have, because he should be accountable for every play that's called. And if you're going to be accountable for every play that's called, it better be you making the decision to call the play. The only scenario in which Kevin should give up play calling, if he is intent on being the creative force behind the offense, the main not the main guy, but in charge of the offense essentially, is if there is some kind of communication issue with Kellen or Brian or whoever the offensive coordinator is in getting the plays off earlier, right? That's usually when you have to change a play caller. Not because the plays that they're calling are bad, but because they can't get the play in, right? If there's so much debate, and this is what I worry about, right? Because if you do bring in Kellen Moore, and Kellen wants to call the plays, but Kevin kind of wants to be in charge too, what you have is a situation ripe for those two arguing about what play's about to get called while the play needs to be called in. And you know what happens when that happens, right? That means the quarterback's gonna be standing there like, hey, get the call in, get the call in. The clock's gonna be ticking, and all of a sudden you're trying to get the offense set with 9 seconds. When you only have 9 seconds to set the offense, what else happens? It's all a domino effect, right? You get out there, the play call's in late. Damn, okay, we got 9 seconds. Now you're just worried about getting the damn play off. You're not worried about a pre-snap motion to get that pre-snap motion in to see if that safety's disguising or to see if that linebacker's in man or zone coverage. You're not worried about none of that because you have 9 seconds to get the play off. You're not worried about seeing if that's a cover 2 disguise or if that's one high or what the read is, right? That quarterback now is not able to get through their pre-snap checklist because you wasted 10 seconds arguing about the play call because somebody's in charge when you want to be in charge. It would just be simpler if one person made that decision, right? If it's Kevin, we running this. 3rd and 2, we running this. Or if it's Kellen, we running this, right? What I don't want is we calling the plays. Somebody got to call the plays, not we calling the plays. That has to be determined very early because contrary to popular belief, what gets play calling responsibilities taken away isn't you called an end around that was on the play sheet, right? At a bad time and it got blown up. Hey man, if it's on the play sheet, it's on everybody. Right? Because we put that shit, we thought it would work. We thought it was a look that would work in that specific situation. We called it, it didn't work, but it was on the play sheet. Nobody's actually mad at that in the coaching dynamic. What coaches will be upset about is we argued about the damn play call. We didn't get the play off. Now, because we didn't get the play off, Deshaun didn't see the safety hiding with the linebackers, and because of that, he threw right in there. That's pick 6. That's what gets people fired from play calling. We focus so much on the result with play calling. We focus so much and we make all of our analysis on who should be the play caller or not based on the result. The result is part of the process. If the results continue to be bad, it's not the play call specifically, it's the play sheet. And everybody in charge of the play sheet needs to go. But when it comes to play calls, it matters about the operation, the process. That's what matters. And right now, the Browns' play calling process is fine. They don't ever really have to worry about those kind of things. They're not really calling timeouts because they're not getting the play call incorrect. And a lot of times the head coach would want to call the play because he's always going to be on the sideline while the offensive coordinator is going to be in the booth. And you just run into more communication problems with the antenna trying to get the signal from the from the booth to the quarterback's headset versus the sideline where the quarterback's right there. And hell, if he can't see it, I can flash a hand signal, tell him number 3 or whatever you can do to get that play to Deshaun Watson himself, right? So, or when you call a timeout, you don't have to worry about trying to get an interpreter for the offensive coordinator down there or get a phone there. You could just talk to him and talk him through what you were worried about there or getting the headset on Deshaun's ears or whatever it is. That's why I think Kevin should call the plays. I think Kevin should call the plays because at the end of the day, Kevin's going to be in charge of the offense. And who calls the plays is ultimately who's going to be accountable for what's on the play sheet. And if Kev's in charge of that process to put the play sheet together, which he probably will be, then he should call the plays. If that's not the case, then whoever's in charge of that process should. But if you're the one that is one of the leading forces in making that play sheet, making the final decisions on what goes on that play sheet, what doesn't, then you should call the plays, because you should be responsible for what goes on that play sheet. That's how I think of this. That's why I don't love the current conversation about play calls, because it's all about the results. The results, that's about the play sheet. If you don't like that we ran an end around or that we called a run here, that's on the play sheet, because that's supposed to work according to that play sheet. It's supposed to work in that look. It's supposed to work in that against that kind of defense. It's supposed to work when we see cover two, because that's stuff that's going to be on the play sheet, right? Those are supposed to be 2 beaters. It didn't work. That's on the play sheet. The play call, it's about process. It's about the operation. You know your play caller needs to be changed, not because the results are bad. If your results are bad, you need to change who's in that collaboration process for the play sheet. You know the offensive play caller needs to be changed if you can't get the damn play off on time. If it always feels like you're getting the ball off with 9. If you always feel like you're trying to get set at 9 seconds, when you don't feel like you need to be, you can make the adjustments that you can make through pre-snap because the play call is not in. That's when the play caller needs to be changed. Not because we don't like it when they run end arounds. But that's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have a better night. Peace.